What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is the Blacklist, Season 5, Episodes 6 and 7. Yes. So, yeah, two interesting episodes. I'm very curious to see where the rest of the season is going to go because, frankly, it's doing a pretty good job right now, sort of building up some of the intensity. The overarching story is interesting enough, and just the story tying together all of these different cases as well is pretty interesting. So let's get right into it. Starting off with episode 6, the travel agency. So we see this guy. He's waking up, and it looks like he's well back in time. There's on the TV. There's the fall of the wall. I think in Berlin. On the TV screen. So you're thinking, okay, well, this is back in time. And he goes and he kills some guy that day. And then later on in the episode, we see our team going to track down a guy who thinks he's being hunted down by this travel agency. And so they get there, and he gets shot by the same guy that we saw shoot somebody in the opening. And he looks exactly the same. So I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then later on, we see him waking up, and it's the Blacklist does 51st States. No better way to put it, to be honest. This guy apparently has the amnesia that makes you forget that each day is a new day. So every time he wakes up, he thinks it's the exact same day. His wife is apparently the one doing this. At first I wondered if maybe he was doing this to trick his wife, but it turns out flip-flop. The wife is actually tricking him. And in kind of a little bit of a surprise twist, it turns out that the travel agency isn't actually the bad guy in this one. Turns out they're the victims. They hired this guy back in the day to do all of their killings and handle all of that. Well, now the wife has turned the tables on them because apparently when he was doing a job for him, not only did he get this amnesia, but also their daughters died in the process of him going to do a kill for the travel agency. And so to get the revenge on them, she apparently tracked them all down and then has been tricking her husband into hunting down the members of the travel agency and killing them all, which is a very interesting story. And that alone was enough to make this episode interesting. I really enjoyed that story. It was a nice little plot twist thrown in there that I wasn't really expecting. It's not something that you can just instantly guess from the first few minutes of this episode. You see a guy eating breakfast and then looking at the fall of the Berlin Wall, shooting a guy. There's no way you're going to be able to tell what's going to happen. And I love episodes that can sort of have that sort of mystery and intrigue, and you're not really sure what exactly is going on until the very end when they reveal all. So I really like the story for this one. I'm not really sure how it tied in as far as Reddington is concerned, because most of the time he's got some sort of plan for most of these blacklisters. But for this one, I'm not really sure what the plan was. We did see him talking to Tom at one point about the suitcase because he knows Tom has the suitcase, and there's a guy that's tracking Tom and this woman. I think her name is Lena, but he's tracking them, and I kind of figured that he was Reddington's man, and sure enough, we see in the 7th episode that he is. But for this one, it's still a mystery. Who's he working for? Who's he talking to on the phone? I'm like, come on, it's Reddington. It seemed pretty obvious to me. But that's all Red really does in this episode. Obviously he's helping the team track down some information, but I don't really remember if he actually did anything as far as the travel agency is concerned. But anyway, the other story going on in this one, we see Cooper. Oh, that's right. That's what Red was doing in this episode. He was helping Cooper out. He's trying to track down this guy that he knows. And ultimately, I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see if this is actually going anywhere or if this was just sort of a PSA for, violence against blacks by cops. I don't know. It felt sort of forced into the story out of nowhere. Randomly Cooper's talking to this guy who apparently witnessed a crime, but he's too scared to go to the police because, he feels like because he's black he can't. I don't know. I don't get me wrong. I understand it is a problem, but to force it into a TV show like this when really it comes out of nowhere. This isn't a character that we've met before. This is just some random guy that Cooper knows. And you're sort of forcing this storyline in there to make a statement about, trusting the law or something. I don't know. It felt weird. It felt out of place. And this is not a show that's typically gotten political before. If it has, it's done it very subtly and very cleverly. This one just felt like a slap in the face. Like, hey, cop violence against blacks are bad. Like, we all know that. You don't have to force it into your story. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that got that. Maybe everybody else just looked at this like another storyline, but that's kind of what it felt like to me. It felt like they were just forcing this in there when it's not needed. But that's pretty much all that happened in this first episode. So overall, the main story of this episode definitely carried it on its own. And then we get to the second story, or the second episode in these two, and that is episode 7, the Kilgannon? Is it Kilgannon? It is Kilgannon. The Kilgannon Corporation. This one, kind of interesting to see how it all works out. Mainly, the biggest story for me in this one was Dembe and Reddington. Obviously, you've got this whole corporation that are trying to smuggle migrants over, and Reddington's like, look, I need to get back into this business. I was doing it safe. They're doing it in a way that's costing people their lives. So help me get this organization back. And of course, Cooper's like, look, we'll take down these people because people are dying because of them, but we're not going to help you get this, get smuggling people back into your organization. And so Reddington is willing to accept that because, with his power, most likely just taking down this corporation will be enough for him to get back into it. So that's pretty much the story for this episode. We see them tracking down the Kilgannon Corporation, tracking down the people behind it. Dembe goes in, acting like he's a man that needs to leave the country using this corporation. And ultimately what it leads to is he gets taken to this warehouse to be smuggled with all these different people. But the FBI show up because, well, not the FBI, they call the local government, the country's government, and have them send police force in. Well, the police force get there too late, and so a few trucks have already been sent out. Dembe is on one of those trucks, and so now they've ordered a kill order for all of these trucks. So the guys pretty much turn off the trucks, which then it locks the back and then takes away any flow of air. And so pretty much you're just killing the people back there, and the guys that own the trucks run away. And so now the last part of the episode is Reddington trying to track down the guy that had Dembe's truck and then track down where the truck is so he can save him. And this was a really nice story. Just hearing Red talk about Dembe, it's the first time that he's exhibited, not the first time he's exhibited caring about Dembe, but, we've seen their friendship before, but this kind of shows a little bit deeper just how much Dembe means to Red. And it's touching. Because Dembe is one of the few people that sees the good side of Reddington, sees the possibility of him being a good person, and wants to try to find that in him. And Reddington respects that. He's one of the true friends that he actually has. And so seeing the worry, the concern, this is Reddington desperate. And we've not really seen that at all this season. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed that last part. Just getting to see a little bit deeper into the friendship that they have. It was really nice. It was really touching. Ultimately, of course, he does end up saving Dembe. And Dembe, for me, is just growing and growing as a character. He's getting better and better. In this one in particular, there's this little girl, and her parents are there as well, and they're all trying to get smuggled out. Well, they get separated, and so Dembe ends up on the truck with the little girl. And so, of course, he's there trying to comfort her, trying to make sure she's okay. And finally, near the end, she passes out from lack of air. And so they get her to the hospital. She's saved. And then the end of the episode is also very touching because we see, all of the team is just like, okay, so we've helped stop these people from smuggling all these people around. But at the same time, a lot of these people are just trying to get out of their country. They're struggling in life. And so they want to get to a better place. And it's hard to imagine them having to go back to somewhere so desolate and so, pretty much most of them are going back to prisons and stuff. And so, of course, they do find a way around it, and it's a very nice scene where Cooper calls Reddington, he's like, look, we were told that if any hostiles engage, we were not to engage them. So if my team were to encounter, some guy with a gun, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And so Reddington and Dembe show up as they're transporting all of these migrants, and they take the truck and let these people go. And then, of course, one of the last scenes shows the little girl reuniting with her parents, and then she gives Dembe a hug as well. And I'm like, it's just so nice, and it's something that we don't get a lot of in this show. We don't get a lot of these touching, really nice moments, because I mean, honestly, it's not one of those shows. It's not a show that's supposed to be touching. It's about bad people doing bad things and trying to stop these bad people. You hardly ever get these moments where you're saving people's lives. You're helping these people reunite with her daughter. It's something that this show doesn't get a lot of. So when these moments do come around, it feels really nice. And especially the sixth episode on top of that, it ended really really sad because they went to go stop this woman and her husband, and she just like shoots her husband and then gets shot herself, so they both die off. It's just like, oh, okay. I did forget to talk about, though, at the end of the sixth episode, Liz and Tom get married. Just kind of, I don't know, the reason I forgot about it was I just remembered, because I remember at the end of all of that, after the shootout, she just goes and asks Tom to get married at this random courthouse. They just sign a document, done. It kind of felt thrown in, so that's why I forgot about it, because honestly, the show kind of forgot about it. It just kind of threw it in at the end, and then Liz talked about it at the beginning of the seventh episode, and that was it. But anyway, we'll move on to Tom's story now in the seventh episode, because he and Lena are tracking down Pete, I think is his name. They go to a random convenience store where he was, and Tom manages to find out where his car is and I guess where he's staying. So they track him down, but then get captured by these guys. And so now Tom is being questioned by this bald guy with glasses. I don't know who he is. I'm not sure if we're supposed to know who he is or not. But he's questioning him, trying to find out where Reddington is, because apparently he's got the suitcase now. And so Tom, of course, is the only one of the three that know who Reddington is and where he can be found. And so Pete's just like, I don't know anything about this. And I'm like, okay, well, then you're probably going to die. And sure enough, he's like, well, then you're useless, and shoots him in the head. Lena's like, look, I don't know anything. And Tom's like, I'm the only one that knows anything. You can let her go. She won't say anything. And then, of course, as she's running away, he shoots her in the back and kills her. So now Lena and Pete are both dead, so kind of throwaway characters, to be honest. It seemed like Lena might be kind of an important character going forward, so I don't know, her death was just sort of sudden, and then Pete, of course, was the guy that was involved in Nick's death, and now he's dead. And so now Tom is just with this guy alone and tells him, look, I work for Reddington, so I don't want to get killed by you. I'm not going to die here. So if you want to know where Reddington is, fine, I'll tell you. And that's pretty much how this episode ends for them. So kind of interested to find out who this guy is, why he wants the suitcase so bad, why it means so much to Reddington. Obviously, one of the most obvious answers to this is it's Liz's mom's bones in there. I'm still not sure if that's true or not. I guess we'll find out eventually, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen next with this suitcase, with Reddington. We see him still, all of these cases are sort of tying together. He's trying to rebuild his empire. These little cases are helping him bit by bit to get that influence back, so he can start helping the FBI again to get back to tracking down these blacklisters. But yeah, all in all, I mean, it's been interesting so far this season. These are two more interesting episodes that have a good story. Sixth one, very interesting little plot twist. Seventh one, very good emotional ending to it. And then we've got Tom thrown in there just kind of doing his own thing. And very curious to see what's going to happen to him next. But that's about it for me, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these two episodes? Let me know, we can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Blacklist reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.